Good. I'd like to call the work session for March 20th to order. Noting the time, we have a guest this evening, Tom Northam of the Black Lots Business on Main Road. And he was invited to share a few thoughts, and I'm going to turn it over to Councilman Chandrowski.
Okay, thanks, Larry. So I talked to Tom, well, I talked to Dave Miller first. And then I got Tom's number, because I'd like to get a little more input on this, just from basically 3 residents coming in. So I asked Tom if he can come in, and there were a couple questions, Tom, as far as, I don't know if they're actually questions, they might have been directives. Right. But, on the noise, the amount of concerts you're having, and I think that was it. Am I missing any? What are the questions there? 80 to 70, somebody asked for. Oh, no generators. After 11, I think was that what the comment was, maybe? I'm not sure. Can't even read my writing. But anyways, Tom, if you want to talk about what you got going there, how you elaborated to me on some of the improvements you're still making there, and the number of concerts that you have scheduled this year, and just kind of fill us all in on what you do.
Okay, I mean, obviously, I had a meeting here last year with the gentleman here, and I believe the supervisor, which is ill right now, which is terrible. I hope he's better soon, to try to address any concerns anybody had ahead of time. We didn't take this venture in lightly. We went and made sure we followed all the rules ahead of time. We asked a lot of questions. The number one thing I can tell everybody, without being disrespectful, we are not Ray Braun, we are not Braun Concert Cove. We are a family-friendly event center venue. My family runs it, and we run it such as that. Hello, how are you today? Tom Northam.
We've met before.
Oh, pleasure.
The veterans concert you had.
Yes, fantastic, thank you.
Councilman Dugan.
Very good. So I'm not quite sure why I'm back again, but again, my phone is always open.
Well,
I'm always here to
we
answer questions and help.
We had a public hearing, and I guess you weren't aware of the public hearing.
No one told me about it.
So I thought that it'd be fair that we should at least, because I've never met you,
Yeah.
know, and Joe's had met you, I guess, once now I found out. Dave has, but.
Well, we're at the
Doc
dais.
has, right?
We were at the dais when you were in 4 months, 8 months ago, whenever it was.
Okay.
That's the extent of it. And
Yeah.
presentation.
So typically at a public hearing like that, you would have heard what they, the 3 residents had to say, and then you probably offer your side of it. And that's kind of what I'm looking for, is
Certainly.
as far as,
So obviously it's the 3 residents that live behind the venue, correct?
I believe so. They said they're about approximately 500 feet from the venue itself.
Which would be behind us.
Yeah.
So again, what we tried to do last year to let people know who we are, pass it around. We sent these letters to every single resident. I think it was just shy of 300, maybe more. I don't have the exact number. You've seen this, I don't think else wants to see it. So we tried to at least introduce ourselves to the trailer park behind this mobile home, whatever you want to call it. Again, putting my personal phone number out there, letting them know that we did take it over. We are a family-friendly event, that we respect their housing, and we're trying to do things different, like I first stated. So we are not a concert venue. It's an open venue that is open for any charity, fire hall, public place. We're actually working with the Chamber of Commerce this year. We're actually gonna be doing the Super Cruise this year for the Akron Chamber of Commerce. They can only fit like 120 cars on Main Street. We can obviously fit about 500. So we are doing that as well. This is not 100% done mock-up, but that's what we're gonna do this year. This is a flyer, if you wanna know how many events we have booked. There's 12 events, it's actually 11. One's a 2-dayer. We started off at our country music festival. That's successful for us. We're gonna do it again this year. But this year we have everything from Bikes, Blues, and Barbecue, which is our first show and event. And then we're doing something, multiple different radio stations. We're doing something like 103, Nights in Rock, 104, the Polka Show, Big Weck, And we're still doing our Salute to America. It's an absolute free concert to anybody in the military, first responders. It's actually it's a full-blown production. You know, we made sure we did a folding the flag last year, national anthem. We did free $5,000 worth of fireworks show. So we're trying to give back to community. Every single event we have planned, we have a nonprofit charity involved. So we give back to community that way as well. So every single show event has a nonprofit with us as well. If there's anything else I can answer for you, I will. Here's a couple of schedules for this year. If anyone wants to see them, any questions on them, I'm more than glad to answer.
When is your first one?
Pardon me?
When is the first one?
That is May 6th. May 6th.
And that's the Bike Cruise and BBQ Festival.
Barbecue, yes.
Now, you also told me that you're still working on some improvements, or you might be redoing something with the berm to help the sound.
Absolutely. Ray had an issue, Mr. Brown, I guess, had an issue with the septic system. Unfortunately, it took them 3 months to fix. It should only took them 10 days. Unfortunately, we have a huge major lawsuit between the two of us right now because of it, because I lost 4 concerts last year. I personally lost over $50,000 last year. So he left the spoils on his yard, supposed to take it away. So I discussed actually taking those spoils in the back and using them as a berm. That'll also help the noise. From day one, I've been trying to work on the noise issue, and obviously I addressed that in his letter. I made sure the sound system is done by us and us only. We own Dynamics Farm Productions. We used to do all the sound and lights and laser show at Darien Lake. So we know how to project the sound professionally. And it's a soundboard where once we get to the levels, we can program it in it. And literally, it's as simple as pressing one button. It doesn't go past that. You know, this gentleman in front of me, which is a code enforcer, he's been with me multiple times on there with readers to check on the decibels. I've never been over any legal decibels ever outside where we're supposed to be. I even went as far as when we had complaints, I went behind trailer park and went into the very first driveway and decibel readings there. And they were only in the 60s there, not even close to what we're allowed to. I also did soundproofing on the back wall. We sprayed it with this black foam paint. It reduced the noise. We put an 8-foot fence back there to keep crowd control. Plus, you know, when you have national acts coming or just anybody coming back there, they're not walking all over the place. We put that fence up to keep that under control. Obviously, we worked on the parking lot. We made that bigger and cleaner and got rid of all the debris. I personally, with my family, put $180,000 in that property. We only own it just to keep it better and better. We got rid of the generators. You know, Ray used to have a generator back there. That's how the whole property run off the generator. We run off electric. It cost me $26,000 for that.
Okay, so the generators pretty much are non-existent for the most, not to say that one might not pop up every now and then, but for the most part, it's not, it shouldn't be a problem.
Not at all.
Forward.
No.
And Tom, do you anticipate in the future, like you got 12 this year, is that kind of where you're gonna be at, or do you see?
Absolutely. When we first did this, again, I talked to code enforcer, we discussed anything that has to do with actual sound system. I'm gonna try to base it right off 12 shows. Anything else is less. So I want to do a wedding there. I had the fire hall at the place, just do a raffle there. I wasn't gonna take a special use permit up for that because there was no sound system. We kept it involved and give the money back to the community. So yes, for anything noise wise, we're keeping it right around 12. Correct.
Okay. And Dave, I did talk to you and Dave had concerns why we were going in the direction of changing things. And that's how I ended up talking to Tom. So I don't know if you have anything that you want to add to your thoughts on it.
Yeah, I really think that based on the amount of time that we put into trying to add into additional steps to try and help mitigate issues moving forward. If you take a look at any of the surrounding municipalities when it comes to noise ordinances, we have one of the most in-depth noise ordinances that you will find in any bordering municipality. That includes Clarence. You go out to Lockport where their decibel limit is 100. I think comparing the town of Newstead to a municipality like Amherst is unfair to the town of Newstead, given the close proximity of just about every property in the town of Amherst. The town of Newstead is a very rural and open community. There was a lot of time, effort, put into the original design of this noise ordinance years ago. And I think that it's setting a very bad precedence if we decide that we're going to change that because a very minuscule amount of people decide that they're not happy with it.
And the change you're focused on is decreasing the
Is
decibel limit, right?
decreasing the decibel.
So if the decibel limit is not decreased and it stays as it's now stipulated, then because you have the capability of owning your own sound system and you put on sound systems, you obviously are aware of the decibel level on the C scale, which is very responsive to the bass. And so you could easily then be walking around measuring, is it on the C scale that you're reporting, or was it the A scale? I don't know. But it was very important that we have in the statute that the measurement is on the C scale decibel and the stipulations about how to measure it. So there's not any bouncing off somebody, like you're standing right next to the trailer, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it's so many 3 feet off the ground and all that business.
Correct.
So since you are in the sound business, it should be no problem for you to easily see with the code enforcement officer whether that is being subscribed to 500 feet. The nearest property allegedly is 500 feet. And apparently, as you migrate southwest from that, the sound intensity diminishes significantly. So that's why if you walk farther back, it probably was less than when you were up close.
Well, absolutely. It's very directional, obviously, the way the place is set up to begin with, you know, and we do have obviously the restaurant bar in front of us. So that also stops and diminishes and it goes upwards. But I've definitely done our due diligence to every single show, done a meter reading 2 times per show. I've done it with David, I've done it with police officers. Ours is calibrated every 6 months, so it's legit. And we're not trying to upset or hurt anybody. We're just trying to make it, a valuable business. And I would 100% agree that if it's lowered any more than it is, it's just gonna hurt all the investment my family has put into it. And we only did this because we knew we were in our legal rights to do this. We're trying to do it respectfully. We're trying to do a whole lot more than just the rock and roll. All the complaints I went back through for about 13 years that I could find were about obviously the swearing, the yelling, the noise. So I try to be respectful on all that. I mean, all the acts that come through in different shows we come through, they sign a waiver. They're not allowed to literally scream in a microphone. They're not allowed to swear at our place. Again, we're family friendly, so I don't care if you bring your 10-year-old in, you're not gonna have a problem with that. And I don't want no one legally having their eardrum blown out. There is some shows that are gonna be more bassy than others, and there's nothing I can do about it, but we're still within our legal right. We're not going 120 decibels. We're still keeping it the right way. It'll be more noticeable if you have a rock show than a country show or a polka show. You know, they're all just a little bit different music.
Yeah,
That's
are
all.
you suggesting then that most likely with those concerts, you anticipated exceeding the 80 decibel?
No, I've never
ceiling
exceeded
level?
it, ever. I'm saying it's just more noticeable. You know, you have more bass, it's gonna be noticeable. It has nothing to do with the sound level. It's just a type of music.
Which is principally the bass aspect of it
Correct.
that disturbs those residents that approximately.
And again, there's 300 some residents back there, and I've really only gotten complaints the last 2 years from 4 people. And again, I don't particularly think it's extremely fair to hurt our business for such a small thing. Would I address them? Would I talk to them? Would I try to make them better for them? Of course I would. But as you know, in any business, I don't care if it's a volunteer fire hall or a municipality, you cannot please everybody. You just can't.
Well, we're
So-
attempting to respond and we're very appreciative of you coming and sharing. If we anticipate moving forward, I would simply say that we probably would then review it to see how successful it has been. Your success as well as is this a legitimate and fair statute to have?
I mean, you're gonna have any church function, or fire hall function, those rules don't even apply on your codes. So they can take it up to 140 decibels, you're gonna get people complaining, of course you will, you know. You can read your own rules, that's on there, it doesn't apply for fire halls, it doesn't apply for churches, so we're trying to get it
Apply for the town.
doesn't apply to the town. So why is it, why can the town do what they want, a church can do what they want in fire hall? When someone actually paying taxes and trying real hard to make a business, employing 28 people. I just think it's a little unfair, to be honest with you. Again, I'm not trying to be rude, I'm not trying to be, disrespectful, but I work very, very hard to come into this building and talk to the code enforcement and a supervisor, which has been to all our shows but two, and we're giving back to the community. Every single show I gave back to the community, and I talk to people and give things back, and I'm doing the best I can as a business owner to keep that place not going back to Ray Brown's hands.
I
If it
think
goes back
we're-
to Ray Brown's hands, you're gonna have a whole different meeting.
Tom, you've been doing this for 2 years now, so in 2 years, we really haven't had. Other than certain concerts, like you said, probably the rock ones where they get complaints coming in from a phone, but. Coming into here, it's been very limited compared to what it was before. I mean, before it would be a packed house in here sometimes. And one of the reasons I wanted to bring you in is because. In the fall, we discussed about looking into making some changes. I know Dave and Emily and Mike had some things that had to be tied up for legal purposes and make everything kind of consistent. But one of the reasons that I asked you to come into, and I've been talking to Dave about this, is because I spoke up at the meeting when they were here, and I told them that I would look into this. And that's what I'm doing right now. And I told them at that meeting that they might not be happy, but I'm gonna look into it.
I appreciate it, I really do, and we're trying to do the right thing here.
Yeah, so I don't know if anybody else has any more questions. I don't.
Excuse my tardiness.
No problem.
Buffalo.
We're glad
doesn't
you're not
wanna-
AWOL.
Doesn't want to let me go sometimes. So I'm sure I don't know if we've covered all the chief complaints of that evening or Monday evening.
Well, I thought,
The only notes that I had made was they recommended the individuals that were here to voice their concerns was reducing the noise levels from 80 down to 70. Okay, I have my reservations with regard to that. No generators after 11 PM. So I think they're saying that, well, you're saying now it's all electric back there, but were there like trailers back there that were running off of generators or something kind of overnight?
There
Or
could
is
have
that-
been something I'm not aware of, you
Okay,
know, we are changing a few minor things again, we're growing and learning. The actual parking lot, we just ordered gates around all of it.
Mhm.
Because again, we have George's Pizzeria in front of us,
Mhm.
and I leased the back lot, so I call it back lot. And I noticed this past year, especially winter, we had snowmobiles back there and there's trailers back there, and there
Okay.
was a camper back there, which I just found out is Ray Bronze. But we're going to remove all that stuff and we're gonna put gates in there, lock it all up and secure it a little bit better. So there definitely could have been.
okay,
I myself personally, I have my camper back there, before the show, that I'm gonna live there on April, trying to make
Sure.
it nicer and fix it, cause I've had some things break over there for
Mhm.
the storms. So there could have been generators, it's
Okay.
never been past 11, I don't see why it would ever be a generator past 11.
okay.
so they are the generators associated with campers.
It's the only thing I can think of, correct?
And the generator you made reference to that was Ray Braun's, that was to generate
I was-
electricity for his operation. his
Before I
business.
took it over,
Before
he
you
ran
took
the
over.
entire thing off the generator, he never had electricity there,
And now, of course, that's not the case.
correct?
But the generator is still extant on the property?
No,
Oh, it's been removed,
but yeah,
Yeah.
he used to rent the one every
rented, got it.
concert every day, yeah.
And like I said, I was there the evening of, I was actually carrying the American flag that night.
Thank you.
But anyways,
Appreciate
I missed the fireworks that evening, but the residents came in the very next meeting and implied that the fireworks actually went over. And they actually had residue from
Which
fireworks.
is one
and
hundred percent false and
Okay.
untrue. I
Okay,
mean, I have one particular lady that lives there, and again, unfortunately, she lies through her teeth, and I would not speak to her no more. She's given death threats to me, my family, and everything. And I've actually called the police and said that this has to stop, and you know that, you know who it is. And we were there. I mean, I
I
had,
know where you.
I had the Newstead Fire Department there as backup,
Oh, Newstead Fire Company was there?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
absolutely.
yeah,
They
I-
were
I took-
they
I
were
took all
way
precautions.
east.
My
Is where
neighbor
they
next
set up.
door Borgo.
They were in Wargo's property.
He was amazing. I mean, obviously I got all the proper permits, I took all these proper insurances. And it was an amazing fireworks show. We gave to salute, and say thank you, get back. I mean, it was a better fireworks show than again that I've seen in other places. And it was way on someone else's property. Nothing went towards that trailer park,
Yeah,
nothing.
that one kind of surprised me, because it's east of the property, number
Yeah,
one,
it's
predominantly. the
I
wind
can
comes from the
report it,
west.
you can see it through line through the.
Okay.
Is there fireworks coming up this year?
I would love to do it again for the Salute to America. I think it's the nicest thing I can do is say thank you to the military, the first responders. That's near and dear to my heart. I think nowadays people forget how much our military does for us, our police officers do for us, and the firemen. So I pay for that out of my pocket. Last year that cost me $58,000. I paid every dime out of my pocket to give back, just to show the community, we care about the community. I'm doing it again this year. Little different show. It's a Toby Keith tribute band. I was trying to get Toby Keith, but he's sick. He's got cancer right now. So he recommended this band. He's actually going to be a part of it, as I just put it that way. And I want to do the exact same thing. It's gonna be free to the military, first responder, and it's gonna be just as nice of a show and more organized. Because last year I scrambled. This year, it should be a really nice thing. And we're gonna have more police officers involved, more firefighters involved. I'm working hard on that. So yes, to answer your question, I would love to have our show just for that one show, and absolutely.
I think the big problem the folks had is it was a surprise. There wasn't any advertisement or anything, so.
There actually was. I had it in the newspapers, I had it in the Bee, I had the,
That there were fireworks?
yes, the Akron Bugle's in it, the Alden Bee was in it, it was in the Buffalo News, all my websites, all my Facebook, all my Instagrams, it was on everything, and all my flyers, such like this, I posted them throughout the whole place. I even went up and down here for the cruise night and handed them all, so yes, it was advertised everywhere.
And you post,
Right.
It's on the radio as well.
I had it on 97 Rock, I had it on 103 and 104, you're right, I forgot about that, and 106, they did it for nothing.
Yeah.
106.
What's your question, Patty?
but did it say that there was gonna be fireworks?
Certainly, absolutely.
Okay. So maybe just like a post-it, I don't know if they have a central mailbox at the trailer park or something where it could be posted there.
My flyers are there in the mailbox area. Unfortunately, someone does rip them up and throw them out every time I put them down. But I have gotten permission from the management to do it, and they worked really nice with me. In fact, they even let me use the one side area for parking. They've been, the management's been fantastic for the trailer park to work with. They've been great.
Before wanted to mention, and we kind of moved past it here a little bit, the one thing that I did want to mention was, I have never received a single complaint about generators. That was
It
news
was
to
new
me,
to us.
that was new to me at the last meeting.
Monday, yeah.
I had never received a single written complaint about generators operating at late times in the evening, so that was new to me as well.
Okay.
So maybe a holdover from Ray Braun running the
Yeah,
generator.
I don't know.
before you took over.
Just letting you know that I never received a written complaint about generators operating beyond 11 o'clock.
Is RV, the campers allowed overnight there?
I don't have a problem with it. I mean, there's nothing that says that they can't.
Well, that's not.
Yeah, there's nothing that says that they can't.
Something that says they can't.
Myself personally, I will stay there overnight once in a while. My security stays in one camper overnight. After every show, I want security overnight. There's just make sure there's nobody in the parking lot doing what they're not supposed to in the parking lot. You know, we do pay licensed security officers to
Yeah,
be
but
there.
if you have a generator for camper, that's not gonna be very noisy. And the way I look at this too is, you know, what that zone is for, if you had a factory there or a big warehouse, you'd be hearing fans and exhaust fans and HVAC system going 24 hours a day.
I go back saying, again, I think it's a handful of people, and
Oh, yeah.
and this time I really think it's 3 or 4 people, and unfortunately, I'm doing the best I can.
And I think you need to appreciate also that, you know, we have a responsibility to every resident of the town of Hempstead and to investigate every sort of, you know, avenue that we can to make sure that we address any concerns.
And I appreciate it, and that's why I'm here. I wouldn't be here otherwise.
Yep.
No, so I definitely appreciate it.
I don't plan on making that one person. I know we'll discuss this more, but I don't have a problem, because I talked to Dave before this. That I think what we've already had set up is something that can work.
You'll certainly see with this year with the demonstration
Yeah.
of the town president saying what he's done. And we've also heard that there's no complaints on some of the concerts that have been held.
Yeah, zero, so. I
Zero
think it
complaints,
depends
so
on-
that's,
And not
Rock
just
and
concerts,
roll.
they're shows.
sorry,
Right,
We try to do more than just concerts.
your presentations.
and it's kind of ironic that the day that we received the complaints about the fireworks, we never received a single complaint about the performance that day. All the complaints were about fireworks.
Right. It's all specific venues, so that was the fireworks and the base have been the chief
Yeah,
complaints.
Yeah, the one base we addressed at our meeting, when they called us in a meeting, we had a meeting with multiple people that showed up.
Mhm.
And I respectfully told them they're 100% right. We had what's called an EDM show. My kids are in electronic dance music, and that will be the most base possible. We're not doing that no more. I told them I won't do that no more. It was too much for the trailer park, and I get it. And I said I won't have that type of music no more. I actually bought another place in downtown Buffalo. We're doing it there, so that's not gonna be done
I
anymore.
remember you mentioned, yeah,
That's
acronyms are great as long as you know what the hell they're at.
electronic music, and it is extremely bassy, and that shouldn't have happened, but again, it's my boys, I let them do it, and it did backfire. I apologize, you know, we're not gonna do it again, so
So
that'll never
you got,
happen.
you, this year, you've got more control because you mentioned it was my boys that were running it, so.
Well, it's their place,
It's their
actually.
place.
Yeah, Dad just helps with everything.
So should we be talking to them? Or should we have them present? So
Dad's still in charge.
Okay, I'll defer to you on that.
So I know when Arrowhead has fireworks, they send out a letter to all the residents, like where I live, like around the place. I don't know if you could send them to the residents of the trailer park ahead of time. At least it gives you a date. It just says, you know, please be advised that we will be doing fireworks on this date.
I have no problem sending out a letter to all of the residents around us, like, obviously not all of them, but if you're talking just trailer park or
Trailer park, yeah.
distance or something, be more than glad to do that. I would like to actually show them all the different type of shows we're doing. Some people might like the Polka Festival. We got the Polka Buzz coming here this year. We're gonna be actually taping it live, and it'll be a live TV show. That'd be great. So, I mean, I got no problem with any of that.
At least they won't be able to tear up the ones that go to the houses that are no problem, instead of putting it in their little post office box there or something, and goes in there and just. Basically wipes what you put in there out.
Well, the gentleman running it was very, very nice. He actually put them behind the glass after that. So now,
Okay.
now I'm doing a poster behind the glass, but I did send a letter I gave you to every single resident.
I
So
don't-
you have your, I sent out.
I don't know if we're obligated to do something like that, but if you have, they all go to get the mail.
Sure.
And if it's right there and,
If it's behind a
yeah,
closed environment, I think that's more than sufficient.
And so for the golf course, they do that for every single wedding. They send a letter out.
They will say like in the month of July, we're gonna have fireworks on like July 10th and July
Right.
24th at 9 PM. So you do have a heads up, make sure your dog's inside or whatever. It is kind of nice.
Okay. I have
They,
no
they
problem
do
with
it pretty much for any resident that's like within a 1,000-foot radius of the touching of the golf course. So,
Absolutely, I can do that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Any
Well,
further comments or questions?
it's pretty close to that golf course. Not so much the clubhouse, but the property, right? Pretty close to the property line.
Question? No, we're sure.
Yeah.
Just one question. Have you ever thought about actually purchasing it from Ray?
I'm aggressively working on that. But as you know, he has his own lawsuit with your town or village. And if there's something that with that I don't want to get into it. Yes, I have money in escrow to buy that property tomorrow. And I've been begging him to sell it to me.
That would be refreshing. Maybe the taxes would get paid.
Interesting.
I don't think we have a.
Not the town, that guy.
Yeah.
There's
I
nothing
think
to
they
do with
got
me.
disposed of.
They got disposed, yeah.
I-
There was an intent, but then they recalled it because they were.
It's not active, you're saying?
Yeah, no, it's not,
It's
yeah.
not active.
We're being recorded.
Again, I'm trying to be over respectful. I don't know. I would love to buy it. Question, answer, I would love to buy the property now. And a property across the street too would be great, but I'm waiting, see what happens.
Are there any other questions, any comments? We want to thank you, Mr. Northam, for coming in and again, addressing an issue of concern, and we certainly want for your business to prosper.
I appreciate
And
that.
you seem to be, from your comments, very socially conscious about being successful and being a good member of the community in light of what you've done. And may you continue to be able to do that.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Okay,
My doors are open, my phone's always on. I'll leave these with you, and so with this, I am excited about to give them back for the Chamber of Commerce and whole, super flea market cruise. That's been really good this year, so everything's behind that. They should be very successful for the, we'll call it the new Chamber of Commerce again.
There you go.
They'll always be surfacing.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks again.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
Do some homework. So we're sitting.
Should I leave it?
No, no worries. Mr. Jacket, you got all three here?
Yeah, I think so.
We have a temporary
We got it.
delay.
Sure. you
What's the protocol for getting on tape that we have a quorum present, or we did? When you tried, it doesn't matter. Thank you. Good.
He only missed a
Yes,
minute. He was.
of the work session. I was here in spirit though, Doc. You're here, I'm here, my friend.
I've had the spirits in the. Then we'll push on, if it's okay. I think John is just talking to, water and sewer. Are there any things that came to the town clerk concerning the water and the sewer? Anything across the council's table?
No.
Scott's last update were the sewer lines, nothing with regards to water and the sewer line up on
Right, that's.
the five corners will be addressed, not the, I'm sorry, the water
leisure
line
work?
working. No, the water, I'm going back to the water line where the facade was gonna be taken care of in the spring.
Right,
That was the only
that's the
thing.
latest.
Right,
Right,
yeah,
that
the
was it.
restoration
It
hasn't
just happened.
started yet because of the weather,
Weather.
so, but it
That was it.
seems like it's on track. Other than that, I've not heard anything, any update from Scott on it.
Planning, local law number one, special events. We had the public meeting on that.
So the only thing we're waiting for on both of those local laws is to hear back from Erie County Planning. So Julie had actually followed up with them today on the KP woodworking. She reached out to them on that as well. So there were 3 things pending with them. They got back that they have no comments on KP woodworking and that we'd hear from them in a day or 2 about the 2 local laws on whether or not they have comments. So we'll see.
And what was your comment with regards to, what was that? There were 2 spots in the new law where that gentleman mentioned, may to shall, or shall to may, or something like that? Yes, no,
Yeah.
maybe?
The one with-
I didn't have it in-
Shall.
Right.
He recommended in a couple of places.
2
And
spots.
council recommended to discount that and keep as is, if I recall that.
Correct.
Okay.
And why would we not wanna say it shall, there shall be a penalty if it goes over? Why?
Because we do not want to remove discretion from the code enforcement officer in the enforcement of the regulation.
So we're just gonna have everybody coming and complaining that he's not finding them again and looking at us like, why is he not doing anything?
Well, it's 4
Okay.
people.
Well, that
3
was,
people,
yeah, but
so-
that was why we went into this in the first place, because apparently there was a disparity between the noise law and the special use permit. And we've since clarified that, which gave the authority back to the code enforcement officer. I don't think we need to tighten that knot any more than it already is. He
But I thought
has
he-
authority.
Well, because
got-
I think there could be, to me, there could be a question of whether or not it has been violated. And he wants to replace a may to a shall in terms of shutting the event down.
Yeah, I don't agree with that. I agree
But
with
that's
the
where he
fine,
wanted that's where he wanted that change.
right? I like the penalty for the fine if it does go over. I mean, obviously, he says he can control it, so it should never go over. He says it never goes over. So I don't see why, if they're showing that it's going over, why there wouldn't be a penalty.
Again, because I think it puts a lot of burden on Dave Miller in that moment to to make that judgment call to shut something down.
No, I'm not saying the shutdown part. I'm saying the $250 fine.
We can't determine that. That's determined by the court.
That's the court.
Right.
I trust that Dave, if he knows he's in the right, and he can do that, he's gonna do it. I also believe that Dave doesn't think he has it right, or it's not in the best interest, that he's gonna back off.
Mhm.
I've talked to Dave enough over the year, or a couple of years you've been here now.
Coming on 6 years.
Well, that long.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of conversations with Dave in his office, and Dave and I don't always agree, but we have mutual respect for each other on our opinions. And I do believe if he has the goods on someone that's in violation, that he will come down on them. But if it's something that's gonna be hard to prove or hold up or.
A consistent violation also.
Yeah.
We want discretion residing with you. In that extent.
Sometimes it's easier to get, ultimately, the goal is to get compliance, and you get too heavy-handed. You know, that sometimes it's, that can come off the wrong way. I think my track record, not to, pat myself on the back here, but I think my track record has proven enough that my way of accomplishing things, it doesn't always work. Sometimes I gotta get heavy-handed. But people want to be treated like people and have, you want to have a discussion with them, and more often than not, that will accomplish the goal. Now, I have a couple cases in court right now where that didn't work. And then sometimes you gotta take that extra step, but.
With regards to noise law, Dave,
Mhm.
and take the concert code off the shelf.
Mhm.
How many other noise complaints are you?
0.
There you go, okay, so. We have the entire town to consider here, and I think we're just like zoned in on one spot.
Well, we are because that's where it's
I
about.
feel that we paid our due diligence with regards to the changes that we've made, and I'm prepared to move forward. I'm just one person though.
It seems based on the representations that Mr. Northam is indicated, and he knows that we're concerned about it, is a year in which we're going to be looking very closely.
Mhm.
And the allegations or statements that he made, if I understood him, at the residence property, they did not exceed the decibel level on the C scale. I'll have to take him at his word.
Is that-
Now, I'm
Does-
also understanding that our code enforcement officer is going to be purchasing, if he has not already done so, an state-of-the-art sound meter that can register under the conditions stipulated in our noise law, the decibel level for the C scale, and he knows where the houses are that are going to be the complaints that we're seeing.
Yeah.
Whether or
And
not
Dave-
it holds up.
Yeah, I spent a significant amount of time last year at a lot of concerts, and not every single one of them, but, out of my own time going out
Mhm,
to, on weekends.
mhm.
And, out to make sure that these concerts are falling within the regulations, and, that. Again, there are times where a certain beat, a certain strum, pops over the 80 decibel level.
Yeah.
But it didn't constitute an actual violation of the code.
That's the discretion, and we'll take it, and has the new meter come in yet?
No,
We hope it's available.
Oh,
for
wait.
Utilization
100%.
by the time this starts, and I think he gave a start date, is May or something.
Yep. Yep.
That's great.
6 years.
What's
Where's the time go,
That
right?
sounds
It
about
was just
right.
2 or 3
That
years.
sounds about right.
Yeah.
Were there any other issues then, Joe?
No,
On the
that
noise?
was
Uh,
the only notes that I had made were those issues that were just addressed.
so if I understand council, then we would anticipate having a reso for the home-based business a week from tonight. And the potential for 1 and 2 as written for law 1 and 4-2, a reso for each next week.
Correct. It'll just depend on what Erie County Planning says. Obviously, if they say they have no comments, then I'll plan that we'll move forward, and if they have comments, I'll share them.
Okay, and if the comments are significantly significant enough to the extent that would that militate or require another public hearing if we were to incorporate those into the law as presently stated.
If we're gonna change the law, then we have to start from scratch.
Okay. And the time frame that Erie County, when is the final day? If we don't hear from them, it like a pocket veto would go through.
30 days, and Donna, I'm not sure.
But
if
what
you will-
date is it?
I sent it, it was either the 14th or the 15th, so.
Could that date fall past next
Actually, we
week?
could, because I sent it.
I think you
I
didn't
have it here.
send it until after the,
It was wasn't it the 13th meeting we called it?
no, we bumped it to, it was the 20th meeting, because the 13th meeting didn't happen.
Oh, that's right, so it would have been like the day after the meeting.
Right, so I think it was
Like
the
the
20, because they had said
21st,
they had,
22nd.
they were gonna respond in a day or two, so I think they
Right.
only had a day or two
Okay,
to
yeah.
respond.
So, yeah,
From all of that colloquy, I'm just curious if Erie County's the date falls after the
No,
27th
it's
of March.
before.
Oh, there's no problem. Thank you. I was just curious. Okay. Spectrum build out of internet services, clerk has comments on that or is?
do you want to talk about it?
Well, I did get the email
Mhm.
and to fill you guys in, there is some funding that could possibly be with New York State sooner than later, I think is the way that was brought to
Yeah,
us.
there's actually a webinar coming up, I think, is it the end of this week or beginning of next
Yeah, it's
week?
kind of the short notice that what's at, where's it, at the Bill Stadium or something?
Yeah, I planned on just zooming into it,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go down there.
Let me know, maybe if I could swing in, I'll come in and watch it with you.
Okay, yeah, absolutely.
So. There was a couple emails going back and forth with Dawn and maybe you should elaborate on that, but basically there is funding. That we can look into. I don't like the 12,000, I don't care what anybody says, $12,000 to a house is just. Robbery. It's just robbery. These cable companies that went back in the day, and I know things change and everything, but when they wanted your business, they did almost anything to get your business. 20, 30 years ago, and now we have a few houses in the area, 42, I believe. That still don't have the service, and I think the opportunity should be there for them to have it, but not $12,000 to hook up to your house. And then buy their product. When you look at the people that have Spectrum in the community. And I bet you, I'm willing to bet easily, it's a $200 a month bill. That they're making that, so. I would like to still sit down with this representative too, face to face and ask him some of these questions, but also look into the funding.
Yeah, the program for the funding that we're gonna watch the webinar on is through New York State Connect All program. Which he basically said that what they generally say, their rule of thumb for Spectrum is that in areas where the cost exceeds $6,000 a house, they will only extend their network if there's a public subsidy associated with that build out. So he sort of suggested either this New York State Connect All program or there's a BEAD program, Broadband Equity Access and Deployment, that we can also look at that's a federal program. So we'll watch the webinar that's coming up and see what, see what that is all about and what they say about that, and if it's anything we might qualify for. And if not, then we'll look into the BEAD program.
That's an acronym, BEAD.
Yes. Broadband Equity Access and Deployment.
That's a big word.
Where are the houses that don't have? Cable.
Well, we didn't really get an address on that, they were going by the last survey or whatever, when I think Dave looked into it. And
Right.
to count, it was 42 homes. It could be homes that went up, new homes that went up in areas where there was all open farm fields before, Carl, and that, and.
I thought Spectrum really had covered almost 100%. Were there a house?
A lot of them are in, you know, a north area along Tonawanda Creek area and those roads back in there that are not highly developed.
Or Cornmore Road,
Right,
Fletcher,
Fletcher.
right.
Because, they're, both T-Mobile and Verizon are offering internet service on the cell phone. So you can use, as a matter of fact, it's cheaper and better than Spectrum's. So you're better off just to subscribe to their cell service and use it for internet, like the hotspot we have that we use. for-
Yeah, but it also affects things for being able to hook up with competitive TV programming. You know, between Dish Network, you're taking cable right out of the option for a lot of these people to check into that. And usually Spectrum's cable, I found is a better deal because you can quit anytime you want. With the other two companies, you have to sign up for 24 months, but they only give you the great pricing for a year.
Well, like T-Mobile's offering it internet via T-Mobile for $50 a month, where Spectrum 79. And the T-Mobile's no contract. So, I mean, there are some that are readily
But
available.
you're talking directly off of your cell phone hotspot and to have that high-speed internet service?
Yes.
That a typical hardwired modem would give you?
Yes, as a matter of fact, it's higher speed, they're 300, they're 300 megabits. Oh, yeah, you get streaming on your cell phone for all kinds of movies and everything. Oh, yeah. Where Spectrum really has trouble getting above actual 20 megabits. They're running like 300.
Yeah.
No, they weren't that good last night.
But some T-Mobile doesn't have coverage over the whole town, so it's a question of where.
Right.
Verizon's offering it too. And that is equally with T-Mobile, it's like a 300 megabit per second system. Yeah,
is that something then that would be useful to be brought to the attention of those that are not on the internet?
certainly.
If they have
Look at it.
cell phones,
I
and many
think,
people do.
I think most people are probably aware of that have cell phones. Again, I think it's
Oh.
coming into the TV section of it. You don't think so? Well, I guess the people that were telling me don't know what they're talking about, is what you're saying?
Well, no, it's something you don't realize that they offer. It's one of those things that now,
Oh, you don't think they know about that?
yeah, I don't get.
I think most of your young people are gonna know about that.
Oh, yeah, the younger people should know, but that's why I'm wondering where. Now, there are some areas where we can't get cell phone coverage.
Yeah.
Then it won't work. I guarantee
You
it.
got
won't
some
work.
places on my property.
Even on Rapids, too, mine's hit and miss.
It's terrible. On corners.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Well, they're gonna put a new cell phone tower over in Clarence, and at Hunts Corners and Salt in there.
Okay.
So that to fill that out, but downtown Otter Creek, there's coverage from Niagara County that should.
Yeah, mine's hit and miss. That's why I have a hard line in my.
We never had that problem when we had Verizon. When they first came, well, I know I was a little behind getting a cell phone compared to most people, but
You still have a flip phone. don't you?
so do you. Yeah.
Everything works.
Was it made of wood?
But the internet coverage is different than the cell phone coverage, but obviously you don't have cell phone coverage, the internet will never work. But
We never had an issue with some of this stuff, so I don't know what changes. You know, when Verizon was the only one you can get in the Akron area, now it's terrible.
they put new towers in, they added coverage, they added new towers.
But it's gotten worse, is what I'm saying.
Well, that's another problem, but yes.
As far as the spectrum issue is concerned, we know more after your webinar
Yeah,
that you're going to participate. And in order to access it, you have to be here. We can't access it in our computers.
Yeah, I
at
think you
home.
can.
I could send you the link if you want to access from home, sure,
Well, if it's possible, I'm
absolutely.
retired, so I could have some time.
Oh, yeah.
later.
I'll forward you the email with the link.
Okay, fine. And that's coming up next week?
Trying to remember whether it's this week or next week.
I think it might have been this week,
I
Don,
think
but
it's the end of the week this week.
Well, if I'm not at a doctor's appointment or Gracie, then, okay.
Yeah.
So if you
send
just
it
shoot
to
me
you.
an email, that's
Yeah.
fine.
I will do that.
And if it's appealing, then we talk to Rotella to see if they
Yes,
apply for grants.
yes, we can get them involved.
Any further comments on the, moving along, parks and bike path access?
Oh, that's me. We got another request from Nathan Leffert of the USDA. We had given them permission every year for the last couple of years to hang their little cherry fruit fly bags along the bike path and all of their town properties. And they're asking for permission again this year. So I just wanted to run it by you guys. If you guys are okay with it, then I'll have Doc sign it and I'll get it back out to him.
I don't have a problem. I think it's beneficial.
Okay,
Patty, do you have a problem with it?
No.
No.
all
Okay.
right, then I'll have you sign it
Okay,
after.
fine. Anything else on Parks and Bike Path? What are they looking for? The spotted lantern fly or something?
It is the cherry, European cherry fruit fly, and now also
It's really-
the box tree moth.
It never ends.
Box
The
tree-
cherry fruit flies they killed off half of my cherry tree. My parents lost a couple of cherry trees there. Yeah,
Mm,
That's no good.
That's rampant around here.
yep, it is, it is,
Niagara County is not happy, I imagine.
yep.
John, I think we did a resolution for that last year.
That's what I wasn't sure, if we just sign it or if you want to do a resolution for Monday.
Pretty sure we did a resolution. Will you just forward it to me? and I'll-
Absolutely, yep, I will
We'll
forward
leave
you
it till
his
Monday.
email. Yep.
It has a little bit more force, doesn't it? And,
It's a good practice.
and good practice, yeah. Okay.
She just likes to make those tough.
It does a great job.
Low right.
I'll entertain a motion for,
I'll make it an easy to read one. I'm perfect.
building projects, library.
Oh, before we move on from that, I wanted to talk about the housing compact and wanted Dave Miller to be here.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Housing compact will come under,
Planning.
It should go under planning.
okay, DE, housing.
So the governor passed some new guidance basically indicating that all municipalities need to take action to make sure that there are new housing, either houses, homes or apartments or housing units available in the community. So it was something that got brought up at the Association of Towns Conference, and I had reached out to Dave about it. Looking at the numbers of what the town would need. Basically, there need to be 44 new units over the next 3 years.
That's a
Did
percentage.
you tell Kathy that goes against our master plan?
Mhm.
He
Mhm.
was not personally presenting it to me. So and Dave can speak about this,
Yeah.
I think we are very likely to meet that without doing anything.
I'm good with that.
And they basically said, the Association of Towns said, especially in smaller communities, they thought about 50% of the communities would meet it without doing anything.
Okay.
We have data on that for the
Oh, yeah.
past 3 years.
Yep, and I
So we
provided that
exceed-
to Emily and we've exceeded it. Yep,
No problem.
But is this a one shot in our rearview mirror? Is this annually
no, this is a
3
continual,
years.
for
3 years.
3
cycle.
years?
Then what if you're not compliant? What if it
Every
doesn't?
3 years.
they essentially can come in and say, they can overrule your zoning ordinances to allow developers to come in and.
Put apartment complexes up and
This is really meant
Section
to
6,
spur on the growth of
sure,
affordable
sure.
housing.
So we don't,
That's really what it's
Yeah.
geared.
so we don't need a town board anymore, they're just gonna start coming
That's-
to towns and running them.
Base, was it home base rule is breached by this?
So we'll just kick it down the road.
But doesn't a
Oh,
certain,
we're good.
And I don't see it really in the future, numbers going down, as everything
No,
pushes.
the numbers are, the numbers of developing single family homes and manufactured homes just increase every year just about, so.
Who's gonna keep track of that?
I keep track of it and what, oh, in the state level?
Yeah. who's
Yeah,
gonna keep track of
right.
Town,
No, just-
the state.
Yeah,
but doesn't it have to be a certain amount of affordable housing? Like, that's only less than 30%? We
the
don't have,
regulation actually didn't say that it had to be just affordable housing.
does it have to be a certain amount of affordable housing though?
The regulation from what I read didn't actually have a percentage or a ratio or anything that just said affordable housing. It just said new housing.
And Alabama's not gonna like that.
So we've already satisfied that.
It's very likely that the town is going to satisfy it over, because it's for the next 3 years. So obviously, we don't know for sure. Maybe it's something we wanna check back with Dave
Mhm.
in a year from now, or a year and a half from now, and if we need to take action. Basically, if you feel you're not gonna meet it, there's certain actions that you can take to show that you're trying to be compliant. That
When
will
does
give you
the
more
time-
time
When does the time start?
for the.
For this 3 year. 2024 or 23? So we can't use the previous 3 years
No.
data.
No,
Oh
but,
dear.
but we're already, you know, I've already exceeded the number of single family home permits so far this year than I had last year.
Can you put some in the bank?
We're not gonna, I really honestly do not think that we're gonna have,
That's my,
Okay.
with how quickly the town
is growing.
is growing, I don't think it's gonna be a problem.
That was the issue concerning the house business.
Want to bring it to everybody's attention.
That hot link you sent was just a whole bunch of blah, 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 blah. Yeah.
So, I know you kind of have the answer to this. How can you force people to sell their property in order to put houses up?
Well, so you don't have to show, you don't have to force compliance with it or force that the number happens. You have to take, as a town, you have to take steps to make it easier for that goal to be met.
Okay,
So some of the things that they had talked about at the Association of Towns Conference were like allowing for accessory buildings. So if you had enough space to build a second building, that was a rental.
we have that in our
Which we
code
have
already,
already,
yeah.
Another thought that they had was shrinking the size of a buildable lot, changing the zoning code to allow for that.
Could they go against our master plan, like first things, even though a plan is just a plan? It's not our code.
Well, from what I had read, there has been discussion that the state could come in and say, all right, well, if you have a manufactured home park on the, you know, on the planning board agenda, and the town is looking at saying, well, it's not fitting with our master plan, and we're not gonna meet that 1%, the state could come in and say, well, you're gonna have to approve it because you're not gonna meet our 1% increase in housing, so we're gonna overrule your zoning and say that this developer can go ahead and
And then
do
what
it.
about septic systems, that's all.
That's-
figured in
And
there.
that's been the big question is,
Yeah.
what are you gonna do? You're gonna require the municipality then to update their sewage treatment plants? Where's
That
this
we
money
don't
gonna
have.
come from? That we don't have. Well, but I'm talking about Akron, you know, and
Yeah, yeah.
specifically where they're already almost at capacity.
Yeah. So does the village fit in that with the town, or are they separate, It's because they're in the town, they fall under that also?
I think it's separate.
I would think so.
Okay,
All right, moving along. to
Space,
planning.
right?
Comment, sorry.
I don't think the village has enough space to put all that many houses on.
Well, it's surprising, there is some space, more than you would anticipate.
Well, they're trying to develop back here.
Yeah.
100 units, I think they mentioned, it phased down from 160. I
and you
think.
still have where Lighters was, the junkyard,
Yeah,
so that's
there's a
plenty
few
left.
parcels there.
and isn't there something up on
Fuel
the
Street.
Five Corners going on that they're?
Yeah.
There is
And,
property.
and
There is
Leaderwood
property.
wants to connect to the sewer system.
Yes, we addressed that a week ago. You may have heard about that. Okay, building project, libraries. You don't have to build a new library. do you?
No, actually, I was just telling my wife, I said, I didn't get one single call from anybody at the library since.
Oh, my God.
So I guess everything's okay right now. Now that could all change tomorrow, but. I would imagine the snow melted off all the roofs by now and any ice that was up there and, I still have a guy that's gonna come in and we're gonna evaluate that roof and see if he can find anything as far as. Temporarily, if we can find the small leaks where they are to patch them and then put in for the construction loan. Christine will put in for that like we did with the HVAC system and see what we can get done.
It's great news. The parking lot, Scott, I haven't talked to him personally on it, but I think it has to do with asking Scott and his engineering outfit to give an assessment about how the parking lot here at the Town Hall, 5 Clarence Center Road would be best addressed, because the concern from, as I understand it, the highway superintendent is the substructure needs to be addressed in a manner that might drain the water away to prevent uplifting from the present driveway. Anyways, I think that's why it's on the agenda, to bring to the attention of the council persons that it is going to have to be addressed. How soon, sooner than later, but it looks pretty rough out. But if it's
Scott
just,
will be talking about that next week. Most
Yeah,
likely.
we'll shoot an email out to him to give him a heads up and let him know, so.
thank you. That's my understanding of that. Take a look at the parking lot, the next, not now, it's dark, but the next time you're there. Grants, Dasney, Parks.
Still reaching out to,
Yeah, Colleen and I finally found the original award letter from Rasenhofer. It took her, I and Nathan Taylor a while to find it, but we finally found it. So I am gonna now send that out to Nick Langworthy and Pat Gillivan and ask them to do whatever they can do to help, so.
That's a very important piece of literature.
Yes,
I was glad it's found and.
Yeah.
Yeah, make multiple copies in case the original's lost. CDBG.
So I talked to Sarah to see if she had any other projects, and she had recommended or thought that the senior center needed tables and chairs and a dolly to move those things. So I reached out to Paul to see if that would be agreeable, and he said, give me some quotes and we'll go from there. So I sent her the information I found on the OGS website there was a state bid to start.
Good place to start from what we know about procurement.
Right, and that had been what Paul had recommended before, so. That was late last week that I sent that to her, so I'm sure she'll get that together and get it over to Paul.
there's some nice stuff out there too. Tables, chairs, they have like nice long carts where you can stack that stuff up, move it out, and it's pretty nice stuff. So I'm sure she's gonna look into all that.
Where does the senior center, where would they store that kind of material on those carts? Are they a little cramped for space?
Pretty much.
Does that then impinge or impose on the paramedic side?
Well, I would hope if she's looking into this, that she would have talked to the fire company.
Yeah.
But they do, I don't know, is that outside building part of the senior center? No, that's the fire companies too, isn't it?
Mhm.
I would hope that I would hope that she would have talked to them about it, because unless she has a place to put them.
Yeah.
And I hope they wouldn't put them in the main hall there, just along the wall.
There aren't too many places, are there?
No, they got the gym, they got the entrance way, the little foyer by your office, and the main hall that they share the kitchen or use the kitchen. And then, I think they shared a coat room.
What was that dollar amount, ma'am?
The grant is 25,000.
We want Fran worth this stuff too.
That's
I'm
a
sure
lot.
she'd want to come up to that dollar threshold.
You might, if you're communicating with her, would you bring that to her attention is to find out if there's.
Yeah, I mean,
Otherwise,
I'm sure she's gonna talk to the fire company about it.
I would
She
think-
might not have done it yet if she
Yeah. good enough.
sure she was getting.
LoSAP, packet review and sign.
They say Lewis dropped that off Monday, right?
right here.
Yeah.
That again, Colleen has notes on here for you guys. First of all, she wanted to ask Emily again, do we need a resolution to do this? She said some years we have done a resolution, some years the board's just signed it. So she gave it to me for you guys to look at and make a decision whether you wanted to do a resolution on Monday or if you guys wanted to sign it.
When we
Yeah, we made a change to this. Was that originated with a resolution?
Yes,
When we made that change?
that's my recollection.
John, can you recall that?
Oh, yeah.
Pretty definitely.
I thought we already had a resolution on it, so it's kind of,
Yes.
I would think it would be binding with the,
The
I could've sworn
stipulation
it
of the
was-
year that it was going to change.
yeah,
And
because
they
we went,
indicated the 3 years.
we went out 3 years, right?
Correct.
So it would just be to clarify that. And if we need one, we need one, but if,
Yeah, let me look at it.
I
And
don't think,
Okay.
I mean, it doesn't have to be signed tonight. We can hold off until Monday, right?
She wrote a date on the front cover. What date did she write on the front cover?
Yesterday.
Let's get on that.
That was a Beatles tune, wasn't it?
Cause it has to go back to
Yeah.
them it has to be done by March.
send the
Something,
entire data request package by March 31st. So
okay, so we got it till the,
we
yeah,
can do a
got
resolution
to.
Monday if we need to.
okay.
And then you're mailing that out or Lewis is gonna mail it?
We give it, Lewis, we call Lewis, he comes back and gets it, it has to be posted at the fire hall for a certain period of time, and then it comes back to us again.
Oh, wow.
So what's the
Yes.
31st date that's there referencing?
You guys signing it and authorizing it, I believe.
Oh,
Oh, okay. It needs to be, according to Lewis in that note, it needs to be signed by us by the 31st.
Yeah, and then back to them.
stay healthy, everybody next
Yeah.
week. It's going to be a busy Monday.
That's the plan, the program sponsor has to submit by March 31st.
Which would be us.
Correct.
We can accomplish that.
Yeah.
It's simply whether or not we need a reso or just to do it by emotion.
Yeah, I could have
We just
sworn
did the
we
reso this past year.
clarified that all in that one resolution, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, we used,
Where we-
went from 490 to 800, from 800 to 1200.
Yeah,
And stipulated the year.
yeah. It should all be
I'll
spelled
I'll
out.
double check.
Yeah, okay. If it's in that reso, then we don't need a reso to do that, we just sign it with a motion to something like that. Never mind, moving on.
I
Yeah,
would say,
okay.
yeah, motion in accordance with
I'll entertain. a
that
motion.
resolution, yeah, okay.
That takes care of the other A and the other B, Gaswell. Letter from Emily Janet.
Yes, so. The highway superintendent has been doing a lot of digging on the whole gas well thing.
Mhm.
And we believe we have identified 2 potential houses that may be hooked to the line up there. And Mike was asking, okay, what's the course of action now? You know, do we maybe have you draft a letter sending to them? Asking them to respond to the town if they're hooked to that line?
I had talked to Andy about it because obviously
Didn't
it's
they
a
do
joint
this, I think?
decision. Yeah.
Is this?
Well, I was just going to say, before we do anything, I need to talk to him and then we can talk about it in executive session on Monday.
We'll put that down, be sure to remember that. Which brings us to executive session for this evening, and I
Well-
think,
I have one more thing on
Sorry.
the. Joe and I did meet with Mike Schilling and Andy Kaltenberg in Route 5 Barn. Yeah, and they were very interested. They're gonna meet with
They have executive
their
this
board.
Wednesday.
Yeah. And
to tour it,
no,
No,
they-
just-
They already have
discuss
it, they have pictures and their executive board is going to be discussing it this
I
point.
told them to get back to Joe and I on their thoughts,
You know,
so.
great.
But it looks like
It's-
electricity should be able to run there. The barn's a really solid barn yet.
well, it doesn't look it from the outside, but that's a pretty solid building.
Inside,
Just the facade is about it. Some little things that have to be
it keeps
addressed.
down taxes. You know.
Yeah.
Some heavy timber in there.
Yeah, for sure. I was impressed when we walked around.
Well,
Sorry, John.
That's okay, that's all I really had to say, but they'll get back to us on what their thoughts are and what they plan on doing with it.
Yeah.
If it's okay, and and then we'll discuss, and then after that, what we might have to do. I know when Mike was here, one day he did say something about he had a guy checking into the roof part of it and probably getting it painted. I'm assuming that's what Mike was bringing up at the time.
Yeah.
So,
we haven't heard any more about the outcome of that. For my curiosity, how did it come about that they had access, the key, how did that mysterious key? I'm just curiosity.
yeah,
I'm
Mike
serious.
Schilling did.
Did
have
have the key,
Yeah.
okay, fine, because that was what
It's
I
a,
understood.
they just had a pad, basically, it's a master key to padlocks.
So, any padlock,
No, so you have to have that number for those keys, not any, you buy them and you can get them,
okay,
then you get keys made up for that.
and as far as we know, there's just one key.
No, I think there's more than one key, I believe Dawn has one
Mhm.
there, because it opens up so why the reason Mike Schilling had one basically is to get into the Stan Victor Pavilion. And you have the gate with the lock to
Right,
get back
I
in
think
there.
that's what Mike said
Yeah.
he did, so he wouldn't have to keep running up, he'd have access.
Yeah, a letter to me, explaining that to me would have been nice, but I didn't get that, so thanks, Doc, for pointing that out. We got in there. First time I Watergate it, the second time used the key.
Good, and the key's in good hands then.
It's in my hands right now.
Oh, so Shillington
So
doesn't have.
He told me to
in good
keep
hands.
it now,
So
so.
it's in good hands. Okay, good. That was C and that was the mysterious key. Executive session. If I'm not mistaken, I think that was for personnel,
And it's
And,
contract issues.
couple of contract issues. Thanks for coming, Dave. Thanks for coming, Carl, with your contributions.
Have a good night. Thanks, Carl. I got it, buddy. Don't worry about it. Thank you, sir.